Hey, welcome back, guys. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the Boker Plus Mosier. It's what's sitting on the table in front of us. What a great knife. There are certain things about this knife that just do it for me. Maybe not for everybody, but for me, it rocks. So, I want to kind of fill you guys in on some of the factory specs real quick, and then we'll talk about the knife. The blade steel is a Sandvik 12 C27 steel. It's definitely an adequate steel for EDC purposes and light to medium use. I would not be batoning things with this knife, however, obviously it's too small for that. But, you know, it's not intended for super hard use. It will definitely wear out on you. However, not too terribly difficult to bring it back to a nice sharp edge either. Blade length is 3 1/4 inches. Overall length is 7 1/4 inches. The weight of this knife is 5.5 ounces, which is definitely on the heavier side. But you're talking fixed blade, and look at the thickness on that steel. That's a great, great little knife. The handles are micarta. That's another thing that's just, for me, it does it. There's nothing like the feel of micarta handles on a knife. I just love it. So let's get into what I kind of feel are some of the great things about this knife that might interest you. I kind of dig this blade shape. You know, it's very different from a lot of designs out there, and it gives some different capabilities. So it has a drop point right here to give you a stronger tip right here across this unsharpened swedge on the top. However, you still retain a point that you can do precision work with or stabbing motion in a self-defense scenario. So one of the things you kind of lose with knives that kind of are geared towards that type of a defensive motion, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, is belly. Now, you can see this knife doesn't have a huge amount of belly, but it definitely has enough to make EDC tasks doable. It's another great thing about it. The jimping across the back of the blade is outstanding. Has great purchase on there. Also, the finger choil right here, where your finger goes, is sort of spaced just perfectly. I have medium-sized hands. And another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is about these micarta handles. Aside from the wicked cool design that's on there, that sort of two-tone gray and white and black kind of a thing, it's not just a design aesthetically. If you look, those are all ridges. Each one of those like cutaways, they're different ridges. And along the edges you can see ridges too. It gives you a lot of differing textures in here so that you can have something to really get a good grasp on. The permanently affixed scales are pinned in with a nice lanyard hole right here, if that's what does it for you. I don't rock the lanyard hole usually, but you know, some people do. So there's some really great things about this knife. I love carrying this thing around. But that's what the next thing we're going to talk about that's not a great thing. Carrying this knife, I mean, you're carrying a fixed blade. So you got to decide what works for you in that scenario, if that's something you want to do. I'll tell you this, the sheath that this thing comes with was a piece of junk. I wish I would have saved it just so I could put it on this review and you could take a look at it. But I threw it away right when I got it. Basically, it clips over the top, just like any other Kydex type sheath, although I don't think it's Kydex. I think it was probably a, you know, some other sort of plastic material. And it has a lanyard hole across the top, and it was intended to be carried around your neck. The problem was that you could take that sheath and shake it off the knife. You could go like this and hear it rattling, and you can just shake it right off. I don't really see how that can hold the weight of a 5.5 ounce knife from your neck. Where you could, you know, run if you had to, and it wouldn't come flying off and, you know, cut the shit out of you on the way out. My only other concern with that knife sheath was that it sort of was molded to the blade, but not really kind of a thing, and it just kind of made me feel like it was just poor quality. It originally had a leaf-shaped Kydex sheath that it came with that people really dug. You know, I bought it later than that, so I never saw it, never got it, but I have seen reviews of it online. So, I opted to make my own sheath instead. Now, if Kydex is something you're into, this is kind of a neat little design that you could think about. If not, I'm not sure what the options are out there. However, just for the sake of showing you guys how I carry this thing around, I made a two-tone Kydex sheath with black and storm gray. So this is my sheath. Black, and there's the gray side. Now, I made a point to leave a recessed area in the back so that you can have this come out without catching on anything. And you can hear it when it goes into place, snap in. That's that Kydex click that you just can't get at anything else. So it's just the way I carry it. What I do is carry it on my belt line, face upward, and it just hugs real tightly to the body. Right at about, I carry it at about 2 o'clock, and I carry my pistol at about 4:30 on my waist. So it's out of the way. And I'll carry this thing every day. I change my knives out quite often, but made sure to put a drainage hole in there, the whole bit. So if you're into making your own sheaths, this is kind of a cool way to do it. These are just some snaps I purchased. I didn't make these. These are made out of scuba webbing, and they're directional, like mil-spec style snaps. So this was the only way I could figure a way to carry this thing. The other reason I went with this too is that I use these loops to attach to the PALS webbing on my pack, and then I leave the sheath on, and then I can leave it on the outside of the pack too. So there's that. I don't have any videos on making Kydex stuff. Everything I needed to learn for making Kydex, I make holsters and knife sheaths and magazine carriers, I learned from Filster. Filster's a company that does great work with holsters and Kydex. And one of the things that he really tried to do at the beginning of his company's growth is share every piece of knowledge that he had acquired through video tutorial for making Kydex material, Kydex products on YouTube. So definitely check them out. It's totally worth it. Their channel is called Philly EDC, although their company, which you can buy stuff from, is called Filster, P-H-L-S-T-E-R. But, like I said, definitely check them out, Philly EDC, if you're interested in doing your own Kydex stuff. He's got anything and everything that you could ever wonder or ask questions about. He'll take care of you. Now, back to the knife. The edge retention is decent. I open a lot of boxes with this thing at work. I have had to resharpen it. Not sure if I said that already, but nothing out of the ordinary for what I put it through as far as knives go. You can see there's some little bit of wear and scuff marks on the blade just from opening all them boxes and stuff. But yeah, so that's that. I hope you guys take a look at the knife. If it's something you're interested in. I never really thought about carrying a fixed blade until, this knife came my way. So I dig it, and I think you guys will too.